Okay. Notice there's a mark on the camshaft gear. Also, there will be a mark on the crankshaft somewhere. There, it's coming up.
Where's the mark?
Well, it's coming up here somewhere. Right there. You see it?
No, just a second.
You can barely see it, eh? Two little marks. You see them?
Yeah.
They have to coincide with this mark when you put the camshaft in. Otherwise, timing will be off, right? So we have those lined up. There's a slight amount of end play here between the gears. If that becomes too great, you can install a larger gear. But in this case, we're good. If that end play becomes too much, then we can get a bigger gear. But in this case, we're okay. So we'll turn it just a bit without moving this to mark, so that both our connecting rods are facing up. And now we can install the other half of the bearing with the jiggle pin or the line-up pin into this housing, this half of the housing. I'll bring it over here. Nicely seated. Now we go back to our assembly job. We put some shellac and glue in that little orifice right there. You got that? So we can install our end plug, right? And I like to put the seal in at this time, because you can put the seal in later, but there's a bigger chance of damaging the seal if you put it in later, because then you'd have to press it in, right? Also, I have to put my spacer in here now. And the spacer is very important because it controls the end play of the crankshaft. So I did measure this beforehand and I decided on a spacer this size. But I'll recheck it after I put the flywheel back on. And then we'll make sure we got the right clearance. But it has to be in there because it goes right on the end of the crankshaft. Okay, that goes there. I put the seal in. Don't put too much glue on the outside. Not too much, because you don't want it to squish out when you tighten the two halves together. But it's good to put it in now, because when I tighten the other half onto this half, it compresses the seal at the same time, which is good. Here comes the other half. We're ready to install the other half. There we go. Fits, right? fits very nice. Okay, seal is in correctly, and the crankshaft still turns. Okay, now we're ready to put our fastening bolts on, and for that, first of all, we have these tiny little O-rings, and they go around the bolt. Then we have a flat washer like that with a cut on the other side. The flat part goes out, this part goes against the O-ring to make a seal. But before I put that on, I'll put my other O-rings on at the same time. Okay, push those on. Put one on here. And we'll put a little bit of oil on those, because when we tighten them up, we don't want to have a dry O-ring with splits. And the oil will keep it from splitting and leaking. Okay, the washers. Just to snug it up by hand, and let me just take a wrench and tighten it up just a little bit, because eventually we'll have to torque them. You know, these are the main bolts that go right through. And what we have now is two more in the middle. These two right here, the big long guys. We'll put a little oil on the washer that's already been installed, that I put on. And then we shove those through. They come through all the way from the other end. And we put a washer on there so it can't fall down again. Then we have a washer for the outside and two nuts which are laying over here. Two nuts there. I'll put a little oil on there just to keep it lubricated. And we'll tighten that one up a little bit. And then we have one more here. That goes in the other end, from the other end too. First I gotta find the hole to put it through. Okay, there we go. 6 main bolts. All the other ones are 8mm bolts that go around the outside. We can't forget the two back here. These are important. They have to go on, because if you put the flywheel on and you don't have those on, well then you're out of luck. Basically that's it. Now I'll just put all the other bolts in.